The opinions expressed on this show do not represent those of the station. If you've missed any of the shows, you can follow the podcast at Energeticcity.ca. Welcome to This Week in the Peace, a show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace region. Here's your hosts, Dub Craig and Steve Berard.
Welcome to the show. Later in the show, I'll be chatting with someone in the Fort St. John RCMP detachment about National Police Week.
Yes, but first, the Northern Innovation Network is hosting the Northern Angel Summit, which aims to create a thriving angel investor network and a healthy innovation ecosystem in Northern BC. So to tell us a bit about just what that means and why it's so important, we're joined now by Shannon Stange of the Northern Innovation Network. Shannon, welcome to This Week in the Peace.
Thanks, Dub.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you've been here quite a bit in the past few weeks kind of talking about this, but why don't we start a bit with, what the Northern Innovation Network is? The sort of, I guess, the organization that's hosting this. What do you do there?
Well, the Northern Innovation Network is actually a tech accelerator, and we're the only tech accelerator in central and northern BC. Head office is in Prince George. And my region that I represent is all of the North Peace and the Northern Rockies. So all the way from Toad River, Tumbler Ridge to Pooskoopi and north.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And when you say tech accelerator, what does that mean exactly?
Well, a business accelerator it basically works with a business that wants to get launched or wants to grow, wants to accelerate their progress, or even all the way up to getting ready for an IPO. A tech accelerator focuses on innovative technology in order to get innovative ideas to market, whereas a general business accelerator, getting them ready for going to market or expanding their market or scaling up. It's more than money. Yeah. Even though we have access to government funding, we are a nonprofit. We're a government-funded tech accelerator, but we work primarily with training and mentoring and also providing resources through relational connections in industry. So, entrepreneurs come to us, they work with us in some of our other programs, like our Venture Accelerator program, where we work with them monthly to work on their business plan, work on their market strategy, work on getting them connected to people that we know throughout our network of other tech accelerators. So like, for example, someone who may be wanting to set up a solar farm up here. We have connections. Like I've got a personal friend who built a solar farm in the Yukon for the city or the area around Whitehorse. And so we have connections in industry that we're able to leverage to help that person then accelerate how they would start their business. That's why it's called a tech accelerator, because we are the catalyst to help them launch in a faster and more structured way than they would just doing it on their own.
I see. So essentially someone or a group of people could come to the Northern Innovation Network and say, we have this idea for a new technology or a technology that could be well used here. We're not really sure exactly, or we think this is what we're going to do, and that's kind of where the work begins. Here's how to move to this step. Here's who could help you fund it, meet each other, that sort of stuff. It's kind of everything going on.
And that's been our business for years. We've been around for over a decade.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And so we've just rebranded as Northern Innovation Network this year. Before that, it was called HubSpace.
Yeah.
But, nobody up here knows about that, primarily because this is the first time they've had funding to expand beyond central BC into the northeast part of the province. And through a grant from NDIT, they were able to hire me to basically be able to introduce what they're offering to the northeast. And that's why a lot of people up here have never heard of it.
I see. So this was something that was kind of, as you say, central Prince George, and is now moving north. So
exactly.
Then, let's talk about your role a bit more then. As you say, you're trying to expand kind of to northeastern BC. Tell us a bit about that and the decision to do that, to see that this is an untapped area with lots of potential for everything.
Exactly. I mean, this is where Northern Development Initiative Trust, they realized that we needed funding in order to expand this up into this area because the mountains divide us.
Yeah.
Right. So even though HubSpace prior to that was available to us up here, nobody knew about it because there wasn't anyone in the region. And so boots on the ground, if you want to put it that way, has really made a big difference. And everywhere I've gone, like I've gone to all the trade shows throughout the region in the last month and a half, and I've been meeting with people, and I know a lot of people up in the area. So I've been reaching out to my network of people, saying, "Hey, here's what's available," and they say, "Wow, this is amazing." I wish we would have known about this a couple of years ago, maybe when we were starting a different venture, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Just kind of the need that's been identified that the Northern Angels Summit, which we're going to get to, and the Innovation Network is sort of providing for you. What would people with ideas for businesses and these sort of things, what would they have to do before kind of this has started, right? I guess sort of reach out to other areas of the province to, I assume find investment or make connections on their own if they didn't have them.
Well, and that's just it. A lot of people, you go to start a business. And before I, moved back up here to Fort St. John, I was in Vancouver starting businesses for 30 years. Yeah. A lot of that was self-funded. And that's the typical route that a typical entrepreneur takes is, they clean out their bank account, they max out their credit cards, and then they reach out to their family and friends, right? Yep. But you reach that point where you can't fund it beyond your own means. Yeah. And quite often, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that there is government funding that we're able to get to entrepreneurs, but quite often it also needs that bridge of private equity being invested in the company beyond their own pocketbooks. Yeah. Because what those government funds are looking for is skin in the game, not just by themselves, but by people in the market saying this is a valid idea. And this is one of the reasons why we started Northern Angel Summit, because we're looking to bring that private equity into the equation so that we can unlock a lot of the other government grants and funding that is available to take it to, like, we're talking small scale at this point, right? I mean, it's only $100,000, up to $100,000 that's available through the Northern Angel Summit to the winning idea. And that sort of is that spot where you're looking for a block of money like that invested in a company that then unlocks the $500,000, $1 million, $3 million checks that are available elsewhere.
Yeah. And this would be federal, provincial governments kind of a thing. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, then, I mean, let's get to the summit itself then. As I said, you've been here a couple times talking specifically about this. It's really this very interesting idea, and a big part of it is sort of the Dragon's Den-esque sort of pitch kind of, I don't want to call it contest, but sort of like that's going to happen as part of it, but it's about so much more than that, isn't it?
It is, and I've used that just to get people hooked on the idea. It's really, it's not like that at all, in the sense that that's TV, and they're looking for drama, and they're they're looking for the crazy statements that people make.
This is like real people involved.
This is real people. These are local business owners who are our angels, and so they're the guys that you run into in the store. They're not here to steal your company out from underneath you. They're actually here to better our community. That's the reason why they're involved. And the actual competition is designed more as a training program to train these entrepreneurs and to train the angels on how to do this. So an entrepreneur who's got the idea that they want to take an idea to market, we show them how to pitch. Meaning, Dragon's Den, you got to know how to do that before you show up. You get your time slot, you make it or break it, you're out, right? Here, we actually take them through a set of training, and that's where the real value is in this, is because we want each one of these entrepreneurs to walk away from this having won something, even if they didn't win the competition, meaning they gained something that would allow them to attract investment into their business from someone else. Because there's a lot of these opportunities out there, because we're able to then unlock that and show them, hey, you can go to this event, you can go to this event, similar pitch contest, similar idea, and groups of investors out there who are looking for people to come to their monthly group or their quarterly group to pitch their ideas. Lots of capital out there for early stage investors. We're basically creating this in order to introduce this idea to the area and make those options available to the entrepreneurs in our area, but also equip them so that when they go, they have a greater opportunity to actually gain capital into their idea.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we talked about this too. It's exposure for everybody who's involved.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like the 100 Women Who Care. Now, there's only one winner that night, but the other two who
Yes.
also pitched suddenly have met all these people who may also want to, donate and whatnot. This is the same idea, right? There'll be one
Very
company
similar.
that
Yeah.
makes it, but all these different ideas will get exposed, and these people will meet each other,
That's
and maybe
right.
that leads to more investment, right?
Exactly. And that you've hit on a really key part here, Dub, in that we're doing this to create an economy or an environment around investing in the North by Northern people with Northern money for Northern ideas so that Northern jobs get created in our region and stay in our region. And that only happens when you build a network of relationships around the ideas. The value for every person, even the angels, like we're going to be bringing in experienced angels to show some of our new angels how to evaluate deals. Well, all of a sudden, their network of relationships amongst people with capital has expanded throughout the province.
Yeah.
And the goal after this is to continue on as a angel network in the North for the North, that we're able to then bring ideas to and say, hey, at your next quarterly meeting, we're going to bring 2 guys to come and pitch to you, right? And so that's a long-term thing. So each one of these entrepreneurs, each one of these angels, they're participating in this, but they're walking away with an expanded network of relationships and the potential that, let's say one of these guys has a great idea that doesn't win. 3 of those angels may say, hey, you know what?
Exactly.
We're going to talk after the competition. We have interest in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think if I remember right, you want to take a few minutes to talk about perhaps some of the people who are already kind of confirmed to be involved in the summit itself, if you'd like. So please.
Well, we've got, a number of our angels. We've got Nelson Stowe, owner of Ideal Office Source. We've got Shane Sterling, owner of EPSCAN, and Eric Bell, who owns Northern Legendary Construction.
Yeah.
These are some of the guys that are going to be key to doing what we're doing up here. Got a guy up in Fort Nelson as well. He's outside of our area, but and I've got a few others that are just putting in their applications right now, and so I'm hoping to be able to talk about them soon. Obviously, it's interesting because we're sort of a last minute community. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Not
Really?
Fort St. John. Right? The deadline was Wednesday, and I've still yesterday I had 4 companies reach out to me, say, hey,
Par for
can
the
I still
course.
get in?
Yeah.
And so I've got a list of names. I don't really want to talk about them until I actually
Sure.
get their application in. But yeah, I mean, we've got, and on the other side, we've got, guys who are running, or are starting companies that are in the employee benefits area. We've got guys who are starting companies who are in the mortgage equity fund sphere. So these are great ideas. We had one company who was in the oil field innovation side of things who had developed a really interesting technology. We actually helped them in the patenting stage. This is where our venture accelerator program has, we've been working with them for several years now, helping them get their idea ready for market. But it's basically, their idea was generating electricity off of the pressure differential on a wellhead instead of using solar panels in order to control flares, the flare stack. And so, but their CEO had to bow out. And so we've got a few people who were really, we were looking forward to seeing them compete, but we're just trying to finalize the list right now. We've got people who are doing green tech, doing all sorts of, one who has got this idea of creating food, growing food in containers in northern areas where you don't have enough sunlight during the winter, and you're able to grow all year round. So there's a lot of different ideas that are coming out. I don't really want to say too much about the ideas because I really want people to watch online when we start doing the pitches and actually see them live in the actual competition. Our first quarterfinals are going to be on June 10th and 11th. And so that's where people will begin to see all of the the first iterations of the pitches, and then after that there will be a cut where we reduce that in half to 12 that then go on to the semifinalists in September, and we take a break July and August, and that's because those 12 semifinalists have they've got the summer to fix their pitches.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of improve what they've said. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you said the deadline was technically Wednesday, but you're still sort of. So
Fort St. John,
if someone is listening, they're like, "This is a great idea." I mean, are you still technically?
Yeah. Call me 778-683-7709. Or just go on the website, northernangelsummit.ca, and fill out the application as a founder or as an angel. I've got to probably do a cutoff by the end of next week because the program does begin at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And so we want to get everyone in. We want to get them ready for it. And, there's a little bit of paperwork that has to be done. But yeah, we really only have a couple of spots available. We've really had a big uptake. And one of the amazing things is that we've had a huge uptake up here in Fort St. John. Mm-hmm. And so while the program is being run out of Prince George, we have enough people up here that we're actually looking at renting a space up here and doing our pitches to our angels up here and then broadcasting that live to the Prince George group.
Oh, okay.
So it's been incredible. We've had just a large group of people who said, hey, this really resonates with me. And I think that really points to the fact that Fort St. John and our region are innovators. Mm-hmm. We can say, we have a lot of things that we can say about ourselves, but one of the things that I've discovered is that we're innovators. And, innovators are the key to revitalizing an economy. You can't build your restaurants and your shoe stores until you have your innovative ideas going to market and creating that mass traction in creating new types of employment in an area. And once that innovation takes place, then a region begins to take off. And so I think that bodes well for who we are as a region. That's an indication that maybe we need to spend more attention to making sure that these innovative ideas get to market. Absolutely. And that's why we're here as Northern Innovation Network.
There you go. All right. What's the web address again one more time?
northernangelsummit.ca. That's for the Northern Angel Summit competition. Our website is northerninnovation.ca.
northerninnovation.ca. Okay. Shannon, thank you very much for coming by and talking to us about this. Can't wait to see what some of the other ideas get pitched and who eventually wins as the summit goes on. So thanks for being here today.
It'll be good. Thanks.
Absolutely. That's Shannon Stange again from the Northern Innovation Summit. We'll be right back with Steve's conversation with Chad Newstetter of the Fort St. John RCMP right after this on This Week in the Peace.
Do you have something positive you'd like to share with the community? We here at Moose FM want to share it every weekday with FS Joy, brought to you by Frontier Law. Whether you're fundraising for the SPCA or saw someone doing a good deed in the community, we want to hear from you. Email us at reception@moosemediafsj.ca and we'll share your story right after the 7:30 news and on our Facebook pages. FS Joy is brought to you by Frontier Law.
It's more than Truck Month at Murray GM. Right now, Costco members score a $1,200 bonus on select trucks, SUVs, and electric vehicles. Plus, drive away in an HD truck with 2.99% financing or pay 0% interest on select half-ton pickups. Oh, it gets better. Enjoy better than employee pricing on select full-size SUVs. Hurry into Murray's, where Truck Month means bigger savings and bigger adventures for more than just trucks.
Extend your stay, not your budget. For the best value accommodation in Fort St. John, choose the newly renovated Northern Lights Inn. The Northern Lights Inn features unbeatable weekly and monthly rates in rooms that all include a full-size refrigerator, kitchen counter, microwave, and free high-speed Wi-Fi. Perfect for company crews, workers, and people relocating to Fort St. John. Fully furnished, quiet, and convenient. Northern Lights Inn, your home away from home. Book your stay at northernlightsinn.ca.
Crime Stoppers allows concerned community members to help the police solve crime. Your information, that small piece of the puzzle, can bring closure to many. By calling 1-800-222-8477, you are putting the spotlight and heat on the offender where it belongs. Your call is not recorded or traced. You remain anonymous while the offender doesn't. With your help, we are making the community a safer place to live. Call Crime Stoppers now at 1-800-222-8477 and let them know what you know about criminal activity.
Moose Country weather.
Mainly cloudy sky today with a 30% chance of showers this afternoon. We'll see a high of 16. Tonight, partly cloudy. We dip to a low of 6. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, 40% chance of showers in the afternoon. Along with that, a risk of thunderstorms. We get to a high of 20. And Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers, high of 19.
You can watch this show live on Facebook. Catch the replays at Energeticcity.ca or be part of the show by texting your thoughts to the Fort City Chrysler line at 250-787-2222.
This is National Police Week. In order to mark the occasion and learn a bit more about the day-to-day of our local law enforcement, I'm here today with Sergeant Dwayne Croll from the Fort St. John RCMP detachment. Dwayne, thank you so much for making some time today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
More than happy to have you. So to begin with, for people who maybe aren't familiar with you, haven't heard your name in any of our news coverage or anything like that, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and sort of your role within the RCMP?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Dwayne Croll. I've been with the RCMP for about 23 years service. I've been in Fort St. John for approximately 6 years now. Came up here, perhaps to work for 3 years here and move on, but we fell in love with the community, our family. I'm currently the operations support NCO, so I'm one of the senior managers in the senior management team, and I work with various stakeholders in the community and groups, and
Awesome. So to begin with, we're talking today because it is National Police Week.
Right.
For people who maybe haven't heard of that before, aren't familiar with it, tell me a little bit about what that means and what that is.
Well, sort of National Police Week kind of encompasses everything we do. We have so many different sections in our detachment. We have a plainclothes unit, we have Indigenous policing unit, municipal traffic, police dog service.
Right.
But we really have a really good plainclothes unit in the fact that we have a GIS unit, we have a street enforcement unit that targets the criminal element in the city. And currently right now, as you know, we had a series of shootings over the last week or so. They were engaged on the onset.
Yeah, for sure.
And what they'll do is right now they're working on disrupting the criminal element in town. So you'll see them out and about.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was looking into this for National Police Week, the theme that I saw for this year's event was committed to serve together. Tell me what that means.
Absolutely. So most recently, and the city of Fort St. John is spearheading this. It's called the Situation Table.
Okay.
And it's going to be brand new to Fort St. John. And the Situation Table is a critical stakeholder group that's worked successfully across Canada. I just completed the training myself, as well as another stakeholder in the community. There's another few stakeholders that need to finish that training. But what the Situation Table will do is it will encompass not only the RCMP, but
Right.
Northern Health, Association for Community Living, City of Fort St. John, MCFD. And the purpose is for us to get together on a regular basis and identify persons in the community or families that are struggling in crisis. And what we found with the Situation Table across Canada is the majority of the issues brought to the table actually come from policing.
Right.
And our job is to do enforcement, serve the community, but we'll come across people that require services outside of the policing scope of duties.
Yeah.
So what we do is we get together and it's a 4-filter process. We identify the person or persons, families, whatnot, and we'll ensure privacy is there, and it's a triage system. So we'll get together. Once we've identified the issues, we'll then just bring the stakeholders together that could help this person or persons out the best. So whether that be MCFD, Northern Health, us sitting down. Once we've identified the issues, it's not enforcement by any means. We'll do what's called a door knock process, where we go to that the household or the group or the family, whatnot, and offer services and support.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So you mentioned the situation table. Is this like a group that meets regularly on like a consistent basis, or is this just as the need arises?
Well, it'll be a group that meets consistently on a regular basis. This hasn't started yet.
Okay.
We just need to get a few more stakeholders trained up. And then again, the city of Fort St. John, they'll be spearheading this, will be a big part of it. I'll be the representative for that situation table.
Okay, awesome.
So once it's up and running, it'll be a regular thing for sure.
You said the city has been spearheading this. Can you tell me a bit about what the process has looked like for getting this up and running?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's national training standards, a virtual training program that I've taken part in myself. I have now completed the mentorship program, and then what we'll do is we'll train the other particular stakeholders, and basically it's just to keep on point, respecting privacy of the persons, the issues that are brought in, to ensure the privacy is not breached. And to make sure we're all on the same page as far as providing that support. You know, if I was to arrive and do a door knock with the group of people such as MCFD and Northern Health, we're not there necessarily as an authoritative position. It's mostly to provide that support to reach out.
Yeah, exactly. Offering a helping hand more than
Absolutely.
Doing law enforcement. One of the other things that stood out to me when I was reading about sort of the idea of the theme of Committed to Serve Together is sort of the relationship between police officers and other first responders. Obviously, you see that now you've got like wildfire season going on, stuff like that. Police and fire department have to coordinate. There was also that fire at Veronica Apartments where they had to bring police, fire, and ambulance together. Tell me a bit about sort of how that relationship actually works in the day-to-day, how you guys stay coordinated with each other.
Absolutely. I can say firsthand in Fort St. John, we have a very good relationship with the other first responders. And when I talk about first responders, I'm talking about obviously the fire department, EHS, and search and rescue is invaluable. We have one of the best search and rescue groups I've ever worked with in my entire career, hands down. And wildfires would be a great example. Obviously, we had a threat here a couple of years back that came close to Charlie Lake. And when they mobilize the search and rescue unit, they're invaluable. Very organized, very coordinated. We're able to get out and serve those, whether it be evacuation alerts or evacuation orders.
Right.
Very fluidly together. So it's been a great relationship. The fire that happened recently here, one of our dog handlers actually came across the fire. I believe was one of the first people that identified it.
Okay.
And right away, it was all hands on deck in our police department. I was there that day as well. We coordinate it from the top level, but we'll have our frontline members, our support unit, plainclothes. Everybody comes together to work with the fire department. And what we do is we identify areas that require a tactical evacuation. In that particular incident, we identified a specific area that the fire may have encroached on, and immediately we conducted what we tactical evacuations, where we go house to house,
right,
and we record those houses to get them out of their houses, and then the city comes together to provide that support of where they go. Whether it be the Pomeroy Sports Center or whatnot. So we work very well collectively together. In that particular case, the city of Fort St. John, our department, as well as the fire department, and SAR wasn't stood up quite yet at that point, but they've been stood up in other situations, and they've been invaluable, like I say.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. What do the actual the lines of communication look like specifically between those other first responders when an event like that happens and say only the police officers have found out about it? What does the process look like for actually informing and getting everyone involved?
Yeah, immediately our OCC out of Prince George, that's our telecommunications center, will be engaged. And immediately what we do from a senior management standpoint is we'll be in contact with the senior management from the fire department, such as Matt at our local fire department. We'll be in touch with them directly and via cell phones. So we get real updates and see what they need from us, how we can support them, and vice versa. Obviously in the fire, we're not the fire department, we're not the experts in that. However, we can definitely assist, whether it be traffic control, tactical evacuations, etc., making sure the public's safe.
Awesome. So National Police Week, obviously that can be a very big sort of recruiting thing. For people who are maybe interested in becoming police officers, tell me a bit about where people can go to learn about that, where people can go to ask questions, and sort of what the beginning stages of that process can look like.
Absolutely. We've done quite a few recruiting sessions actually this year alone. I am the point of contact for that. So if anybody is interested out there, I can tell you right now, hands down, this is the best career. In my book. I might be a little jaded when I say that, but I've got 23 years in. It's a great career where you can retire at 25, 20 years, etc., with a full pension and benefits. And it's no career. There's no career like it. I've worked in Nunavut. I spent half my career in the Lower Mainland. I've worked in different sections as well, and it's never boring. There's never a day I can come to work and say, it's a boring day.
Yeah.
There's always something new, and you learn so much. I learn 5 new things every day.
Yeah.
I don't know everything. And it's quite a great career. There's so many different opportunities. It would take me an hour to discuss that, but you've got the police dog unit, you've got the emergency response team. Frontline policing is the backbone of policing. That's the uniform members you see every day.
Of course.
Out there, going to the calls of service. You have specialized units. In our detachment alone, we have a domestic violence unit. We have a municipal traffic unit. Our police dog unit, our Indigenous policing unit, and then various sections within the plainclothes unit. There's just so many opportunities out there, and it's a great career. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I can't recommend it enough. So if you want to look into recruiting, you go online, and it'll tell you quite a bit there. But you can reach out to me directly. You can contact our local detachment, ask for myself, Sergeant Dwayne Croll. They'll put me in touch via email or voicemail, and then I can discuss it further if you're interested in a career.
Okay, awesome. For people who maybe aren't interested in becoming a police officer themselves, but they want to maybe work with you guys. I know, for example, another detachment that I worked with in another city at another job, they worked with nurses from the local hospital, sometimes as sort of an addictions and mental health program. Do you guys have any sort of civilian collaboration stuff that you guys do like that?
Well, right now, unfortunately, we're not big enough to have the volunteer sections you'd see in the previous detachments, like where I worked in Surrey Detachment, for example, or Langley. You'd have some volunteer basis there. We haven't quite reached that level yet. Having said that, as far as the nurse program you mentioned, we do have the CAR 60 program, where we work exclusively. We have 2 nurses employed by Northern Health that work with us in the detachment, and it's been a beneficial service. I actually worked on that unit down in Surrey when I first started my career.
Okay.
And I could tell you it's great because it's a police officer and a nurse working together to attend a call where there's somebody in crisis.
Yeah.
And we can streamline that to get them to the hospital, get them the care they need.
Yeah.
So it's very beneficial. But having said that, we have reopened the auxiliary program.
Okay.
And what the auxiliary program is, volunteers. They're assigned to police officers, and they volunteer with our department. So we've just opened up the training. We have a couple candidates currently going through. It's revamped. It's a brand new program. So if people are interested in that. The other thing, too, is Citizens on Patrol. You can reach out to Jackie Miranda. She runs Citizens on Patrol in this community. Great unit of volunteers that go out and, eyes and ears, and they contact us in real time. Instead of having to go through, regular OCC, they can contact the watch commander, and we can get there right away and see what's going on.
Okay, awesome. For people who maybe just are not super interested in getting involved like that, but just are interested in making the lives of their local police officers easier, what would you say is sort of the number one thing people should keep in mind?
I think the number one thing is call in when you see something. Don't wait. If you call in something suspicious, you have a gut instinct there's something wrong, whether that be a property offense, a person's offense, don't hesitate to call us and be involved. I like to say that we're all kind of police officers in this community. If we're all involved, we look out for each other. For example, my neighborhood where I reside, we look out for each other when we go away on vacation. If you have trusted neighbors, let them know when you're gone and to look out for anything suspicious in the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's about everything I had on my list. Is there anything else you want to add while I still have you here?
No, I just want to say it's a great community to police in. We encourage our members. We had 6 members leave Fort St. John detachment and transfer back within a few years.
Yeah.
Because they realize, the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side. It's a great community. I love it here. My family loves it here. And we're all vested members of the community, too. You have to remember, even though we're police officers, we're out there, whether it be playing hockey, coaching sports or whatnot, we're part of the community too, and we do have a deep concern for the well-being of Fort St. John. And it's a great place to live.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your time today, Dwayne. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course. That was Sergeant Dwayne Croll with the Fort St. John RCMP. Big thank you to Shannon Stange for coming on the show earlier today, and thank you for tuning in.
You can listen to or watch this show again by checking out the podcast at Energeticcity.ca/podcast. We'll store this in future episodes there as we make them, and you can also check out our other locally produced podcast, Before the Peace, there as well. That's our show. I'm Dub Craig.
And I'm Steve Berard. Be well.
Join us again next Friday morning at 10 for another edition of This Week in the Peace, your weekly talk show dedicated to the people, events, and news of BC's Peace Region. Or you can listen to this podcast again at Energetic.